Finally. It's been a long road, but the time has come to actually meet the enemy and send them back to the void. I wasn't too sure on how we handled the damn goblins, if I'm honest. I mean, they held up their bargain in the end, but it was a dangerous game. Sigmar teaches us the greenskin bastards are almost just as much a threat as the great enemy itself. But I suppose the Inquisitor knows what they're doing. So for now I'm going to stay close to his side and watch him and good old Bertha. I worry about her a lot lately. She ain't never been the same since what happened in Mindenheim. Can't say I blame her. Bloody Ulricans. Yes, they've behaved, but, well, for how long? I suppose I shouldn't worry about that right now. We are all here to do a job. Well, I'm a little scared. Of course I am. It'd be stupid not to be. Going into the dark, but I know we fight for Sigmar and what is right. And I know that we've been chosen to follow the heroes of Mindenheim. Heroes of the Empire, more like. That's right, I said it. Those three. It's obvious. They've been chosen by Sigmar himself. And you know what? If I can share in some of that glory by following them, well, that is worth the risk of death. Besides, I've got my trusty weapon at my side, the Inquisitor, Bertha. Chaos better start running. They're not going to know what hit them. That's what I think. Anyway, time to get moving. Sigmar, I hope you're watching. Time to do your work. This is Red Moon Roleplaying. The sound of the unnatural waterfall is deafening overhead as our three brave heroes, accompanied at this moment of course by darling Erica, begin making their way to the cavern that lies behind the waterfall. Looking behind you, you see those that have come with you, your entourage, slowly making their way to a higher point in the gorge where they can set up some sort of camp and not be in the way of the great waterfall or the deluge of water that falls from it. All of you stare forwards to the darkness that awaits. What do the three of you do? Again, your plan was to go and just scout ahead a little, and shortly you'll be doing that in your small team. Is that what you continue to try and do?
Personally, I find the idea of exploring a likely dangerous but certainly unknown cave system infinitely preferable to the tasks I was taking on before. Give me this over the priest captain any day of the week.
And I want to ensure that as few of our, entourage, as few of our team members, end up harmed. So if that means that I have to take the lead, then I'd gladly do so.
Well, I'm not going to stand in opposition, though seeing how dejected and stressed Heinrich looks after having to play the role of diplomat, I'm feeling fairly amused. Clearly scouting suits all of us a little better. But I don't think it would be a mistake to bring some of the experts along with us again. This territory is getting more and more challenging. We already know, after all, that there's all kinds of goblins lurking here. We've encountered several groups of them. It can only get worse the further we go. So I would suggest that we take the best with us. Danger cannot be far away.
It says Siegfried is about to propose this very idea. That something very strange happens. Because as you're about to say this, Siegfrieda, you suddenly stop. Moving. As do you, Heinrich Schilf, and you, Kruger Hoffman. Even Erica just stops. The waterfall stops. Sound stops. Everything is frozen. And what's strange about this, other than, of course, the fact that everything is frozen, is that you are all aware that you are frozen. And as a few seconds pass and you can't move and nothing moves, you are aware that you can still somehow speak to each other, even though everything else has stopped. What's everyone's immediate reactions to this strange phenomena?
Our ability to speak, is that our lips and tongues are able to move, or is it more of a telepathic communion?
It almost seems the latter. Your lips and your tongue can't move. But you feel the sensation of your mouth moving somehow, and you can speak. You are aware. It's almost like an out-of-body experience. You almost are aware, looking at yourselves, that everything has frozen, including you. But your thoughts somehow are still moving at a normal pace.
I imagine this means that both Kruger and Siegfried are treated to the immediacy of Heinrich's inner monologue, which is swearing an appropriate regional curse at whatever chaos is about to befall them.
They are indeed.
This one's also quite loud.
You're right. What kind of magic is this?
Feels like it would have been best suited for Gurner to still be with us, I suppose, but... what about the rest in our entourage? Are we able to communicate with them? Are they aware of this?
You have no idea. You sort of try and turn your head to get a visual picture, and you realize you can't really leave the scene you're in, it seems. And as you're trying to look about, you finally see some movement. A figure begins to come from behind you. Not from the cavern itself, but from behind you. He is wearing a dull grey tunic and has a terrible haircut, bob-headed. It has been some time, but all three of you, from that haircut, will recognize this individual who, well, actually, you don't think you've seen for a long time. Not in reality, anyway, only in dream. The figure waves a hand slightly. Now, do not panic. This is simply a little trick. I want to have a little word before you continue. I cannot harm you, and you cannot harm me. All I've done is slow down a second to, well, a slightly longer time period. How are you free? Doing well?
Is this why we were painted on the walls? Was it supposed to be us? Were you behind that?
No. I have far more important things to do than paint things on walls, Siegfried.
Such as tormenting 3 simple mortals.
Yes. Well done, by the way. You really have come awfully far. You should be applauded.
If you're feeling thankful and willing to bestow gifts, I will happily accept my freedom in your disappearance.
In a minute. You've demonstrated, all 3 of you, that our previous methods of conversation, well, you just ignore. Only dear Heinrich even mentioned our talk. Kruger, you dismissed it as a dream. And did you even tell anybody about our conversation, Siegfried? I have a feeling not. I would be hurt, but, well, I can't blame you, I suppose.
We've seen and experienced so many things. Not all of them have been real, and I didn't really know what to make of meeting you. But speak then. What is it that you wish us to know or to do?
Well, like I said, I think the time has come to just speak to you all at once, and not just in dreams. I'm here as I always am. Here to offer advice and answer questions. Which would you like first, the advice or the question? Yes, Siegfried, I'm afraid I'm only going to give all 3 of you one this time. I hope you make it a good one.
I have no need to see my mind poisoned with the words of demons or sorcerers, whatever you happen to be.
Heinrich Schilf is always the dull one with his, I shall hear no evil and speak no evil. That's fine, you can forfeit your opinion, but the other 2 still get their one question. Or as a group, rather, you get your one question. But maybe you'd like the advice first. That is free.
Usually no such thing as free anything. But I suppose we could hear you out. I look to Siegfried even though I can't really move.
And before you dispense it, should we be taking this as advice, or is it more of a command? Is there some punishment that you have in store for us not following it?
When have I ever punished you? I have always told you the truth, Siegfrieda, you especially.
And yet your manner of communicating is like sneaking into a bedroom like a pervert in the night. You do not come to us when we can communicate with you, treat with you openly. You do not allow us to walk away. You act like a generous gift giver, but we know that your gifts are poison. So go on, tell us what this advice is, and then we will decide whether we do anything you suggest.
The being smiles coldly as it walks in front of you now. Its face flickers for a moment. I've never let you go. I've never come to you openly. Are you sure about that? Well, maybe I'll answer that later. For now, very well then. My first piece of advice is to leave. Run. Flee from here. Flee all the way south to the borderlands. You've played the game extremely well, but there is no shame in ducking out at the last moment. I assure you, you will regret coming here.
Good talk. Thank you. Thank you for the wise words of encouragement. Are you as cowardly? I actually refrain from continuing. I know that it has been some time since I've lost my temper with some officiate who has been appointed by a city, and there are all kinds of thoughts passing through my head right now that this thing, this godling, this entity, this chaos creature, whatever it is no more than a messenger. It is just another bureaucrat that's trying to slow us down. And I know how those arguments go, because I've lived through them many, many times. So instead, as much as I can, given I am unable to move, I try not to focus, I try not to look. I think this thing is a coward, and it's afraid, and it doesn't want us coming any closer for that reason.
The being stares at you for a while, Siegfrieda, but again you don't respond. It eventually turns its gaze to Kruger and Heinrich. But if you are not keen to follow my counsel, I have a second piece of advice. Your scouting, Kruger, is not going to work here. Once you pass that threshold, he points to the darkness in the cave, your host will not allow you to leave again. So the choice is yours. If you wish to bring some of your little friends with you, you must do it now. You will not be able to return later. Well, unless, of course, you are victorious.
And victorious we shall certainly be.
We shall see. Well, that's my advice. But now you get your question, and it seems, well, by default, it's you, Kruger. Siegfrieda doesn't want to talk to me, and Heinrich doesn't want to listen to me. Are you going to throw away your last question of the game? Your last one was rather dull. Ironically, it's only been Heinrich who's asked a good one. What do you say?
How can we defeat this evil and get the Warhammer?
That's two questions.
So how can we defeat this evil then?
By claiming the Warhammer. He smiles. That wasn't the best use of a question, But oh well.
Did you find that amusing?
You three have always been entertaining to me, and have put on a show for the ages. How could I be unhappy?
Well, I suppose you will have the grand finale to look forward to then.
Yes. Despite your protestations, he says as he comes over to you, Heinrich, and puts a hand directly on your shoulder. I have always told you the truth. Do you not remember when I said at the end I would tell all, even my name? I'm going to. Just a little longer, and I will reveal all. Are you looking forward to it?
He's speaking to me.
Yes.
There are few things in this world that will bring me more joy than killing what awaits us. I assume because it will be you or one of yours. In fact, is it too late for me to have my question back?
Go on. I'm in a generous mood, and it irritates Siegfried the longer we speak.
How do I destroy what is between us and the Warhammer?
By gun and blade and fate and luck. And arrow, I suppose.
Oh, what do you know, friends? We've come well equipped.
Oh, it's good that we brought our weapons. Well, that was not incredibly helpful, but I suppose it was an answer.
All the wisdom of the infinite planes, and he tells us, bring a gun.
I have always told you the truth. Would you like me to lie instead?
Oh, I've no patience for debating tricks of the imagination and creatures from beyond.
No. Good luck. I'll see you again at the close. And he goes, and you can move, and you blink, and you realize that no time has passed at all. You're still exactly where you were seconds ago.
Well, that was weird.
I grow increasingly unhappy with these interruptions.
I am unmoved. I feel like that was all an attempt to intimidate us, and what haven't we faced? What haven't we overcome at this point? Some enchanter, some spirit that can make us pause and get into our heads? We've seen mutants, we have seen diseases, we have seen clones, we have seen babies with the appendages of insects. If all we require is a sharp blade and willpower, well, I think we have that in spades, don't we?
There was one interesting question raised, though, and that was with regards to the rest of our team. Should we bring everyone through this? Well, it seemed like it was some form of barrier, but once we've passed through it, we cannot come back, which would mean that, well, if anyone stays behind, then they can't help us.
We tell them openly. We give them the chance. We give them the choice. We explain, as much as some of your compatriots, Heinrich, may dislike the proposition, that we have been visited by an entity, and it is made clear that this is a possible one-way trip. But we also explain that this is the only path to victory, and that if the three of us fall, there needs to be someone behind us to pick up our weapons.
No, I agree. The more blades, the better, but I'll not ask any man or woman to fight under false pretenses. They deserve to know what they're getting themselves into.
Yes. Yes, well, perhaps we shall go tell them then.
I'll leave that to the two of you. I think I'll just drive them all off.
In that case, do the three of you return to the others and attempt to rally them?
That's what I will do.
Then Kruger and Heinrich will take the lead as you hang back for a moment, Siegfried, and inform the camp of the situation. Their response is almost completely unanimous. They are all with you. Baron Reiner raises his axe. High Priest Captain Jocelyn raises her hammer. The priests, the knights. The only people who hesitate a little, you notice, Siegfried, are some, not all, of the medics, and Albin and his dogs. They look a little more concerned. Quintus Fassbinder, interestingly enough, is not among them, and is already starting to walk with staff in hand towards the entrance before you stop him.
That man's curiosity is going to get him killed.
So what do the three of you do? Again, it seems everybody except the Houndmaster and 2 of the 5 medics.
Well, I agree with Heinrich. We shouldn't oblige anyone.
As do I. But then I will tell them, if we do not come back, then, well, let them know what happened. And let them know that we failed in that case. Someone has to tell the tale of what happened here.
In that case, you begin to rally the troops. You make the decision to leave a few nights with old Albin and the medics who remain, and they will stay and form a base camp. If anything happens, they will indeed relay the news back home. Everyone else, though, is with you. You, in particular, note that both Bertha and Emmeline are very keen to, as they put it, finally be by your side, Inquisitor. And even Apprentice Leah is looking at you quite sternly, saying, "My lady, I will lead the other 2 medics, and we will make sure there is a medical... that people get medical attention if they need it. I swear, my lady."
Do not be afraid. We are all of us together. We have numbers, we have skill, and, I mean, gods preserve us for saying and thinking it, but I think we actually have morality on our side. I say that looking at some of the inquisitors and priests who keep growling at each other.
Speaking of growling, Baron Reiner comes over to you, Kruger. A good choice to say that we weren't going to come with you. Ha ha! Madness! No, we will fight to the end in the name of Ulrich.
Well, I hope it won't have to come to that. But yes, we will have to fight for all that is good against this evil, otherwise we stand no chance of prevailing.
Meanwhile, the priest captain, Jocelyn, comes to you, Heinrich, and says, "This is how it should be. I will keep an eye on the Ulrichans, but I will not deny that their swords will be useful for what lies ahead. Are you ready, Inquisitor?" She leans in and whispers, "Remember, the greatest trial will be those we bring with us. Some here will not survive."
But they will die protecting the realms of all men. We've given them the opportunity to leave if they desire. They are brave soldiers of Sigmar. We will see them done right.
Good. And with that, everyone gets ready. Finally, as you 3 take the vanguard, it is Fassbinder who comes up to you one more time. "This is it, my friends. We are finally here, but we must be wary. You can sense it, can't you? Beyond that portal lies corruption, treachery, evil. We will be tested. I can feel it in my bones. Are you 3 ready? Remember, everything you see, well, do not dismiss illusions as merely illusions. Chaos will try and trick us, corrupt us, turn our thoughts against one another. We must be ready."
We will be, and we will stand by each other's side.
Then, do the 3 of you lead the way into the darkness of the cavern, while behind you, your entourage readies itself to follow.
Yes.
I feel we must.
Truly there is no greater honor.
Then into the dark you go. And it is dark, very dark, as your torches try and pierce the veil of darkness. You hear by your side Erica begin to growl. You think you understand, Siegfrieda, why old Albin didn't wish to come. Those poor hounds. If even Erica is starting to act up, they would have been inconsolable. Something in the air is disturbing her.
I do my best to pet and comfort Erica, though I know we can't exactly... I can't stop and give her a good belly rub or anything like that. Well, it's something of a crusade now, and she needs to find her bravery just like the rest of us.
This is very true. Onwards into the dark. You can see your torches and the dozens of torches behind you, indicating that your friends are close. All around you now you can hear the sound of the waterfall, and you can hear somewhere a great cascade of water from somewhere, but you can't quite see where. And that's when the torches begin to go out. First behind you, and then all of yours. Suddenly, you're in complete darkness. What do you do?
Is there a sound? Can I hear something?
Yes. Water dripping. And then some sort of whispering. And then you feel a gust of wind. And then you feel... you're not quite sure what. Something comes over the three of you, like a blanket. Or like you're underwater, but you're not underwater, but it forces you down to your knees. Your ears begin to fill with whispering. And it's so loud. Somewhere, you think you can hear other noises. I'd like all three of you to roll an endurance roll, please, at a -10.
I'll start us off with an 18. That's 3 levels of success.
I also rolled an 18.
I rolled a 94, so I shall use a point of fortune. Well, that's a 77, so that's 3 degrees of failure.
Well, it seems that 2 of you have succeeded well, but I'm afraid you, Kruger Hoffman, have rolled a critical failure. Heinrich, you're not sure what possessed you, but just before everything went to darkness, you were looking at Siegfrieda, and almost to assure yourself that she hasn't vanished in the dark, you kind of reach forward and find her with your hand. She's there, so your companions haven't all just vanished into the darkness. It's just dark and noise. And as you're doing that, Siegfrieda, you feel the reassuring pat of Heinrich. You know that's Heinrich. And Erica, she's still next to you. And as the three of you kind of connect, you hear, beneath that whispering, something much louder. Voices that you recognize. Priest Captain Jocelyn Sparheim. She's suddenly saying something. May the light of Sigma prevail. In the dark, Sigma will not fall. May the light of Sigma prevail. Long live the Empire. Long live the Emperor. And it's the priests. They're all chanting again and again this prayer. Yes, that's right, Heinrich. This is a prayer of Sigma. And as you listen to that, the noises begin to recede, and you see in the dark a glow coming from the hammer of the priest captain, slowly causing the darkness to retreat. Sadly, Kruger, you do not hear this, not yet. The voices just become louder and louder, causing you to fall to the ground and try and cover your ears. It's all you can do. What are they whispering? They whisper, "You're deaf. You're deaf. Deaf. Deaf on rodent claws." And you can see it. You can see in the dark hundreds of skaven, hundreds of rats. You open your eyes and they are crawling over you, burrowing into your eyes, burrowing into your mouth. All you can do is scream and take 2 corruption points. Heinrich and Siegfrieda, you see everyone gathering around the priests. They're all very quickly running to them, but as you turn, you notice that your friend, Kruger, is just on the floor screaming. What do you do?
I'm going to leap to Kruger's aid, and reaching out with a hand to grip him on the shoulder. Steel your nerves, friend. The visions and the noises, they will have no power here.
I keep telling you, it was the Skaven. It's been Skaven all along. They're here.
Oh, neither rat nor purple fiend can steal you away from this moment. Come to your feet.
And he's right. He's right, Kruger. Heinrich's here and Siegfrieda, and now you can hear it. You can hear everyone's gathering to the priests and the priest captain who are chanting, and her hammer is glowing in this darkness that does seem to be receding, and their torches begin to relight themselves.
Is it over? The whispers, or is it gone?
This will not take us long, Kruger. This is just a passing misery. Soon we will be out in the light again.
That's good then. That's good. But it doesn't feel good. It really doesn't feel good at all. There's a darkness here that I fear is not going to disappear. It's going to be something I carry with me.
Erica, go walk alongside Kruger. See, Kruger, there's nothing to fear. You have Erica beside you. And how often has she protected me?
Erica gives you a little woof, which, as she does so, echoes in this cavern you find yourselves in. And it's slightly reassuring, perhaps, Kruger, but you can still feel it in your throat. The rats. You know they're not there, but you can still feel it in your throat.
Yes. The taste. I just try to get through it somehow, but this... I don't think I fully realized what I was getting into. But the choice is made. I just have to keep on going forward.
Heinrich, you take an assessment of the situation. First of all, it seems everyone is gathering around the priests. You can tell, without needing to roll, that some of the knights, and maybe even some of the medics, some other faces are as shaken as Kruger's. But it does seem as if the priests themselves are adamant. Of course they would be. And as you're thinking that, the priest captain comes over to you, Heinrich, and says, "You are with us still? Good. Yes, this place reeks of corruption. Chaos is everywhere. But luckily, the might of Sigmar's word can pierce even the most treacherous darkness. I'm glad you remembered that, Inquisitor."
And I'm glad to have you as Sigmar's light by our side.
Your hammer starts to recede back to normal. Yes, I'm useful for something after all.
On that, we will of course have to agree. Trying to inject a moment of levity, seeing if I can get a chuckle out of a scared knight or such.
Emmeline chuckles next to you. Bertha looks slightly more shaken, but says once again, "Praise Sigmar." Siegfrieda, you notice Leah suddenly just comes to you and just tugs on your hand, and immediately apologizes. "Forgive me, my lady. I just needed to know you were there. Sorry, I shouldn't have touched you. My apologies."
Do not fret, I am not yet diseased. You can still touch me.
"Yes, you are a lady."
I roll my eyes. I'm sure she can't see it in this light, but I need to seriously start considering my position in the aristocracy once all this is done.
Presuming I can overhear this, now it's my turn to chuckle.
At that, Quintus Fassbinder, followed closely by Baron Reiner, just steps forward, and accompanied by Barak the dwarf as well. "Well done, my friends, well done. You see? Even in the darkest of places, Sigmar's light shines. But behold, up ahead, we have, it seems, two paths." As the light begins to focus on this great cavern, you see that Quintus Fassbinder is pointing forwards to two large cavernous tunnels that seem to await you, one on the left and one on the right. The cavern you're currently in is immense, and you can't see the top, although you can see from somewhere come great stalactites, hundreds of them. You also notice, looking behind you, that you can no longer see the exit. It is as if the exit never existed. What did the three of you do? You've overcome this first obstacle, but now it seems there are two paths ahead, one going left, one going right.
Neither navigation nor the earthly sciences fall into Heinrich's purview, so I will be looking between Kruger and Siegfrieda to see if either of them can identify a better route than between the two.
On the pictographs that we found in the caves before, they were typically displaying people. I vaguely remember one that seemed to have a map-like or some kind of circuit displayed. Was there anything like that?
You try and think back, and none that would help you in this situation. You also find yourself thinking on the words of your tormentor. If he didn't draw them, well then, wait. Didn't your former associate, a certain moon gobber, say something about how the other one paints a lot?
Oh, yes. Just hoping that whatever was giving that thing visions may have penetrated this place as well, but no matter. Well, we have received no indication as to whether left or right is the better course, so flip a coin, I say.
Well, you could flip a coin. But Kruger, now you've come back to yourself, you could always just do a little poke of your head around said left or right tunnel. Maybe you can sense something about them, or feel something about them.
I'll do that. Let me just scout ahead a little bit. I won't be far.
Roll a perception check, please, Kruger.
That is a 48 under 68, so that is 2 degrees of success.
A very good roll. To the left, the tunnel once again seems to be plunged into darkness. But on your roll, as you step forward a little bit, you see around your torch that this time it doesn't go out. No, this time there's a mist or a fog coming from that tunnel, the left tunnel. Then you go to the right one and it's the complete opposite. You suddenly notice your torchlight seems to be glinting off various light sources, like crystals or some sort of reflective surfaces in this tunnel. And as you squint, you can actually see a golden light at the end of that right tunnel. So it seems one tunnel leads into smoke and shadow, and the other into a golden light. As you come back, you see the various individuals you've gathered discussing the best route forward. Some people are discussing setting a camp here, some people are discussing splitting up, and some people, of course, are discussing just all going the same route. You think you'll be able to tell them what to do. But yes, that's the situation you find, Kruger, as you return from your little scout.
I looked into both of the paths. One leads into smoke and shadow, and the other one, well, it was glistening like crystal. And there was something glowing at the far end of it. Could it be? I mean, the Warhammer is holy, right? Is that what could be waiting at the end of that path, I wonder?
I'm not sure I would trust this place to give us so clean and simple an option.
And yet smoke and shadow doesn't exactly sound appealing.
No, I thought the very same thing. It could indeed be some form of trap. But then again, I've had enough of darkness. I don't know about you.
No, I agree. I think I feel that we need to, before we start setting up camp, we need to march for these crystals, this glowing source of power.
Would this be an opportunity for Lore Chaos to add any information?
Why don't you give it a roll? Let's see.
29, which is under 42, so 2 levels of success.
There is no doubt in your mind, Heinrich Schilf, that you are in a place of chaos now. Mysterious darkness that comes from nowhere, glowing lights, exits vanishing. This is beyond the work of cultists. This is beyond the work of mere wizards or even sorcerers. This is a place of chaos, and nothing can be taken for granted. In your studies, limited as they were, you need to be extremely careful. The safe could be dangerous, and the dangerous could be safe. More importantly, anything that maybe you think of dismissing as merely an illusion could indeed just be an illusion. But sometimes the illusions of chaos can kill just as easily as any real thing. It doesn't offer you too much insight as to which path is actually safe, but merely that the situation you're now in is a bit beyond your normal experience, and you must be very careful whatever you do.
Fair enough. Well, it seems foolhardy in both accounts to go blindly walking into either direction. It could be a poisonous fog, or it could be I can't think of something that... crystals, but...
Miasma. I say, bringing my fist down into my hand, how many times have I extolled that the greatest of the world's ills are found in mist, smoke, fog, cloying gases. This, I am certain is a sign. And I'm not one for omens.
I agree. That makes sense.
Even that poisoner was using a gas to further his aims. No. I am resolved. We advance on the light.
I agree. The light it is.
Then as the three of you lead the way, do you also command everyone else to come with you as well, all to go down this route? Or not?
We need to stay together, right?
Need to stay together, but maybe they can wait a few moments in case we immediately fall over dead.
No, I suppose that would only be prudent.
Given Kruger's unsteadiness, I'm happy to be the first person to take on Zinch's mirror maze.
And so you move onwards. But you command everyone else to hold a respectful distance back, so you three will be the first on the scene. You continue down this tunnel. For some time, it's not a short tunnel by any means, 5 or even 10 minutes pass. But luckily, it's not too small a tunnel, so there's some space to move around. Again, the walls are filled with crystals. Well, they aren't very brightly coloured. Most of them on close seem to be dull, bronze or gold coloured. But eventually you see the source of light is coming from ahead as you enter a massive, well-lit cavern. And there is 2 reasons for the light. The first is that most of the cavern seems to be filled with a strange golden liquid that as you approach feels warm, very warm, and that's simply as you approach, never mind touching it. This golden liquid flows through this cavern, except via one small stone pathway that seems to lead through the cavern to the other side, meeting briefly at a small island in the middle of this great molten gold cavern. You also see several gigantic piles of treasure. Gold imperial coins, great wooden caskets, jewels, goblets, chalices, thrones, even weapons, all tinged with gold. And that is what you see as you enter. It seems the only way through, if you don't want to wade in whatever this gold liquid substance is to cross this stony path and get to that island and then keep going, and eventually the cavern you can see has an exit all the way on the other side. What do the 3 of you do?
Well, it's impossible for my eyes to not widen at all of this. It's impossible to not feel some kind of greed.
Perhaps for some of us. Surely there has never been a more obvious trap laid by the agents of chaos.
It's obvious. It is obvious, certainly. I'm even saying this out loud now. Siegfrieda is muttering to herself, this is obvious, this is obviously a trap, but
there's so much of it.
To dangle this... Do you think... To dangle this in front of people born into poverty, who had never had a coin to their name that wasn't actually owned by a master, that even now whose title is held under falsehood. I can see why it would bewitch people of lesser virtue and willpower than us. I shake my head.
I'm sure there'll be riches aplenty if we make it back.
I too find myself staring at these riches and thinking back to where I was when we first met. That Kruger, they would have gone for these riches in an instant. But I have more important things to do. We're not here for that. We're here for something much more important.
Speaking of which, you shortly are aware that soon the rest of the party will get here. What do you do? Do you progress a little further, perhaps to that island in the middle of the room, or do you wait to warn them of the dangers of this wondrous treasure hoard?
Much as I am certain of my companion's steadfast willpower, I am much less confident in that of our traveling companions. Kruger, Siegfrieda, if you're comfortable doing so, perhaps you can tread ahead, and I will remain here and make sure that hands remain on weapons as opposed to rummaging, as it were.
It's a very good idea. I look at Siegfrieda. Let's move on.
Yes. You're right. I was just about to lean down and pick one of these things up just to examine, but I stop myself as you speak and follow on along.
Then, Kruger and Siegfrieda, you move forward, starting to carefully tread on this stone pathway. All around you now, this strange molten gold, and it is awfully hot all of a sudden. But not uncomfortably so, just very warm indeed. Meanwhile, you, Heinrich, stay back a little as everyone else arrives. You can see it in their eyes, especially some of the medical team and some of the knights. Not so much the Sigmarite priests. The glint of gold. They look around confused. Even Barrack suddenly just stumbles over to one of the gold coins and looks at it very curiously for a moment. What do you say, Heinrich Schilf?
Greed has killed a fair number more dwarves than men, Barrack. And I will sooner take those hands than let you ruin them.
As you address Barrack, and then so everyone else, would you like to roll a leadership test? Give yourself a +10.
Is this leadership? I feel like I'm intimidating him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough then. Intimidate +10.
Oh, wow. 42 is directly on, so 0 levels of success.
Still enough to at least get attention. Barrack gives you a bit of a look, clearly annoyed and hurt, but he does then step back. And all the others start looking around. It's at that point that the priest captain says, "Listen to the Inquisitor. These are the treasures of the damned, and any who step anywhere near them will be burned by myself and my priests." There's some grumbling from the Ulricans, but then Baron Reiner steps forward and says, "We are of Ulrich, and have no need of trinkets. None of us will touch any of these treasures. Isn't that right, my friends?" "Of course, my lord, of course. And everyone starts coming around, although you do just suddenly notice from your corner of your eye Emmeline looking at a large golden spear, saying, "Oh, I don't know, Inquisitor. That's a spear. I could stab that in something. It's not valuable. It just could be good for stabbing. Is that bad too? You sure?"
You do know, Emmeline, you know 2 things. 1, not to trust gifts of the agents of chaos, and 2, that gold is a malleable metal and would merely blunt against any armor or tough hide.
"Do not be too harsh on them," says Bertha. "Sometimes Emmeline gets a little blinded, don't you?" Well, sorry, Inquisitor, yes, you're right, sorry, I was just... Yeah, malleable, wouldn't be very good, would it? No, that makes sense, sorry.
Happy to buy you a gold spear when we survive this, but for now, let us make sure we survive this.
Meanwhile, not too far ahead, but far enough that this at least is happening all behind you, Kruger and Siegfrieda, you step forwards. You find yourself now in this central island. From here, again, there's that stone pathway that seems to now lead out of this place, this cavern of gold and heat. It's as you are looking to the others and thinking maybe it's okay just to go forwards that there's a strange shimmering before you, and something begins to emerge as if stepping out from a door, even though there is no door here, just the shimmer of the smoke coming from the molten gold.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this final part of the series, we are tackling Empire in Ruins. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Wordclock, Metatron Omega, Ager Sonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Graham Barey, Doug Thomson, Lily, Mike Parker, Maciej, and Black Templar for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to our Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay bonus campaign, Rough Nights and Hard Days, as well as bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Call of Cthulhu there. On top of that, we also offer early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that Skaven are definitely not real. And even if they were, the Emperor has already dealt with that particular problem.